Don't mess with America.
We are now just over 2 weeks from Election Day, at a time where moment by moment everything seems dumber and everybody's just about losing their minds. My guest tonight from the Washington Examiner and about 47 different podcasts, Siraj Hashmi, up late with me on the Final Five. We're on Zoom right now. I hope Jeffrey Toobin doesn't have this number.
Praying he doesn't waltz into here in the Zoom and does his thing.
We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. I know that's given a lot of people a lot of ammunition today, and rightfully so. But let's talk about the fact that tomorrow marks 2 weeks until Election Day. And I think you can go back and look at numerous places in this campaign cycle where things took a turn and people lost their collective minds. I would say really it started the passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, which precipitated the Amy Coney Barrett nomination and the confirmation hearings, and we're on the precipice of a vote here. There's a lot going on in this election cycle.
Yeah, actually, the passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg happened a month ago tonight. So the fact that we're a month into this sort of meltdown and we still got 2 weeks left to go. I mean, I know I'm ready for it to end, and I'm sure you're ready for it to end. But I feel like it's just going to continue on and on. And I don't know if there's ever going to be an escape unless all of a sudden we decide herd immunity is a great thing and we all decide that we're going to go outside and just, risk getting COVID.
We saw, I would say 4 years ago, we were at the point where you had the left putting out the memes, welcome, Madam President. Everybody assumed that Hillary Clinton, at least on the left, was going to win. And on the right, clearly, while President Trump was campaigning and out there and getting his name out there as a candidate, he was still written off by a lot of people. We're seeing, as you look at the polls, a lot of parallels in terms of the numbers, in terms of the margin of the margin of lead that Joe Biden has right now. I mean, do you see parallels, or do you see this as a totally different game now that candidate Trump is President Trump?
It is a different game this time around because 2016 was a referendum on Hillary Clinton. 2020 is a referendum on President Trump. And with everything that's happened over the last 4 years, he actually has a record this time. And based on whether Americans feel that they're better off today than they were 4 years ago, will be a telling sign. Of course, I have not written off President Trump. Mm-hmm. I think it's still a 50-50 toss-up, but he has a higher hill to climb. He needs a lot of the battleground states in order to win. He definitely needs at least 75% or more. And Joe Biden he doesn't even need half of them in order to win. All he needs are like Wisconsin, mm-hmm. Minnesota, Michigan. He gets Arizona, Colorado, and gets Pennsylvania and Virginia, and he's good. He doesn't need Florida. He doesn't need Ohio. He could use North Carolina, but he doesn't need it. It's kind of there are many paths for him, whereas Donald Trump, there's really just one.
But what we've seen this time around is Joe Biden, or really the Democrats, going to these states where they took for granted in the past, where they ignored Wisconsin, where they kind of assumed that Michigan would go their way. And granted, it was a very minimal victory. But as we look at the other side, Joe Biden, at this point, they're getting ready, presumably for a debate that we suspect will probably still happen on Thursday. There have been moves tonight about that may throw that in doubt. But as we talk about Joe Biden, a lot has been made about this laptop controversy involving his son, where the information is coming from. Is this a smoking gun, as many people on the right have called it so far? But you mentioned that. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago, which is something that President Reagan used to great success when he was running and when he was reelected. Is that Hunter Biden controversy something that you think will sway votes, or are we so entrenched right now?
No, it won't sway any votes. In fact, it probably garnered more sympathy for Hunter Biden and the Biden family, given the fact that the most salacious aspects of Hunter Biden's laptop involved images of illicit drug use and him engaged in sexual acts with unidentified women. And these text messages that appeared too, showing Joe Biden's sort of unconditional love for his son going through rehab as recently as February 2019. Actually makes the case that Joe Biden's more relatable than the average politician, because everyone has that family member or friend who's really going through a dark period. And that kind of just shows that. But the thing is, that has overshadowed all of the allegations of corruption with Joe, Hunter Biden, and Burisma in Ukraine. And since that's so banal, people don't want to focus on that. They only want to focus on the salacious stuff.
As we near the finish, I guess the finish line's in sight here, I would imagine that you are in the camp where we don't believe we're going to know who wins this election on election night in 2 weeks. We certainly didn't know it when we left. We got out of here, I think, at 1 a.m. on election night in 2016, just because the votes were still coming in from the West Coast. I'm kind of curious to see how long this process is going to take with all these mail-in ballots, with all of these absentee ballots, with the military ballots. I mean, this could still be a very long cycle that won't be over 2 weeks from now.
That's true. And the U.S. Supreme Court just ruled this evening that Pennsylvania can extend their deadline on mail-in ballots past election day. So the likelihood of that actually of the results going beyond election day, almost, I would say it's approaching 100%. And I mean, we all thought it would end election night. I mean, of course, when 2016,
right.
I think they called it around 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
On Wednesday, November 9th.
Yeah.
And you know, at that point, really. Who's to say with all of these states on the Eastern time zone and
right.
Central time zone, that may dictate the election.
Right.
But there's still, of course, Arizona and Colorado that you got to factor into.
And we're going to be watching those very closely. Siraj Hashmi, good to see you again, my friend.
Good to see you too, Jim.
Final five back after this.
you believe.